Hi everyone, if you enjoy what I do, then I think you'd enjoy my short collection of short stories and new paranormal thriller, available now on Amazon. Please make sure to subscribe and consider becoming a Patreon. Enjoy the video! I waited 2.5 years for this. I realise that Cyberpunk 2077 has never been known as the most stable game in the world. In fact, I heard the word unplayable being thrown around a lot when it first came out. But given that it's received a whole bunch of updates, fixes and whole ass DLCs over the past few years, I thought that it may at least be in some kind of reasonable state by now. Now, I was never expecting perfection. After all, game development is hard. But if Skyrim can pick up altogether too many Game of the Year awards, while being one of the most janky, buggy messes I've ever played, then how bad can Cyberpunk really be? Well, let me be honest, it's pretty rough, even after 2.5 years. I mean, it's not even the janky fun kind of broken, where a horse can scale a sheer cliff, or you get yeeted into the stratosphere by a giant. No, it's the kind of broken where all life in the world decides to evaporate if you dare to drive anywhere for more than 5 seconds, NPCs will pull a Gmod and glide around in a T-pose, and main characters will completely give up on the ability to lip-sync and just bob their head around like they're in a Tomb Raider cutscene from 1996. That's not even mentioning the catastrophic crashes that leave my entire PC bricked, forcing me to do an entire reboot. So I guess full disclosure is needed here. My PC isn't exactly a spring chicken anymore, but when I'm getting smooth performance up towards an average of 60 FPS, even when things get hectic, I don't really think it's my rig that's the problem. Rather, it's the fact that a portion of the world I need to interact with to continue the frigging game entirely refuses to spawn, and I'm left with my buddy talking to thin air like he's a ventriloquist. Truth be told, I wouldn't be as bothered if the game was actually hot garbage. I just end up relegating it to my long list of forgotten games, and that would be that. But the problem is that Cyberpunk 2077 is good. When it decides to behave itself, the world is vibrant and bustling, making you feel like you're inside Blade Runner. The characters are varied and well realised, with some great voice acting, and the story of underworld dealings and sketchy contacts makes for a super compelling experience. When everything works as it should, you can walk down the street and encounter any number of random events, stop at a kiosk for a bite to eat, or head back to your apartment to chill, and it all feels so real and alive. But then, apropos of nothing, all those people will disappear, and you'll be left in a barren city with the same kind of vibe you get in an old deathmatch arena when no one joined the server. Now, before you start furiously commenting, I realise there's a whole bunch of fixes and mods that can be implemented to improve the performance and fix the frequently encountered bugs, and while I'm still trying to find the sweet spot to optimise my own experience, I can confirm that installing the game on an SSD does help enormously. The only problem is that, what if you don't have an SSD? Enable the HDD mode? Get the overall experience nerfed while still getting an ant's nest worth of bugs? This game is nothing if not an exercise in fine tweaking, because you often end up spending more time in the settings than you do the actual game, fiddling with the graphics for this particular location so that everything runs properly without ending up looking like an expressionist painting. And I mean, I get it. If you don't have a good enough rig to play the game, then don't play the game. Or if you have the luxury, play it on console. Only the beauty about PC gaming is that you can have a potato system and still potentially run newer games, so long as you don't mind them looking as if someone set them on fire. My point is, even if you haven't got a potato system and can run it perfectly otherwise, Cyberpunk is the first game I've ever encountered that effectively railroads you into having a particular and not insubstantial piece of kit just because of its own poor optimization. Now, while you could just buy an SSD if you happen to have enough money lying around, or try to clear off enough space from the one you do have, just like I did, which in itself was a nightmare, I just keep thinking that you shouldn't have to, especially not after 2.5 years. I mean, I typically wait a while before getting new games, because the prices these days are frankly insane, but it also serves to act as a buffer period, so I don't have to deal with the inevitable host of day one issues every game seems to have recently, and usually it works. I get a stable game for a massive discount over its initial release price. What's more is that some devs have actively gone out of their way during that time to change the game itself, to make the story or gameplay look better. See, Mass Effect 3 is a great example of that. While everyone else complained about how bad the ending was, I played it for the first time with the extended cut and thought it was fine. Not fantastic admittedly, but not nearly as bad as the original evidently. But then there's Cyberpunk, where I deliberately gave it double my customary 12-month wait time plus change because of just how bad a state I heard it was in, and I'm still left reeling at how broken some parts are. After 2.5 damn years! Maybe if they had spent less time modelling the character's flaccid dong and more on optimization, then we wouldn't be here. You'd think by having a massive name like Keanu Reeves slapped across the posters, CD Projekt would have focused on having a fully functional experience from day one. But no, it seems like feature creep run rampant during development, because I can't seem to walk 12 steps without encountering some new HUD menu or feature, and I really think the primary experience suffered for it. Truth be told, I never even gave Cyberpunk the time of day until I found out Keanu was in it, because despite the fact I love me some Cyberpunk, the game looks a little too stuffed to me, with the overlapping menus and massive variety of features seeming somewhat overwhelming, and even now I'm still largely of that opinion. I go through firefights completely forgetting hacking distractions and even stealth options. I just pull out the super shotgun and the Doom Eternal soundtrack starts playing in my head. The point is, the promise of Keanu literally sold me on this game, and I have no doubt that it did for a whole bunch of other Neo Sims too. That all said, however, you can pet the cat, so yeah, 10 out of 10, best game I ever played. Thank you for watching, everyone. I honestly don't like hating on games, especially ones I actually quite like. It's just when you barely get a chance to get into it before some stupid bug wrenches you out again, it can get really frustrating. Here's hoping everything will be fixed eventually, and we won't still be here in another 2.5 years. Failing that, there's always more mods. There are always more mods. Anyway, if you like what you saw and want to see more, then hit the like button and subscribe, and if you want to go that bit further in your support of the channel, then become a patron or a channel member. Links are down in the description. Now, I hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you next time.